Hey! Hello, it's Chum and Son. With me, son.
And me, Chum.
Yes,
Thanks for telling me.
we've been here a while. We haven't been here for a while now, but of course the new Star Wars films come out.
Yep, of course we're going to talk about it. That's kind of our job at this point.
Although this is a channel of many films, we only really ever talk about the Star Wars.
It always
ones.
goes back to Star Wars, doesn't it?
It always goes back
it's
to
quite
Star
a
Wars.
reoccurring
Star Wars
thing
ones
channel.
are more interesting because
Star Wars and lack of uploading.
they cause so many problems. These Star Wars
They
films
cause a lot of controversy, don't they?
They do.
No doubt we'll get some hate for this. Well, actually, probably not. 'Cause no one watches it.
There's only two fans.
You've got like two guys.
There's two fans, and one of them doesn't like Star Wars.
And the question
anymore.
is, do we have a split audience? Because two is enough, right? Sure.
We do have a split audience.
Do we?
One of them likes most films, and one of them doesn't like Star Wars anymore. So they're our two main
Oh,
audience
great.
members.
So we've got a split audience.
So
Feel
we've
free
got
to
a
have a
split
debate in
audience.
the comments.
So
Have a little
one of them
gander
doesn't
and
do comments on YouTube, I don't think.
Oh,
But anyway,
okay.
so there we are. So the new Star Wars film. What's this, episode 9?
Episode 9, Rise of
Yeah,
Skywalker.
the Rise of the Skywalker.
A bit of an odd title.
Yeah,
Kind of.
Yeah,
You don't really, I don't know, it's not really relevant till like the end of the film. But,
Yeah,
you know, okay.
and the
you know,
person
it's
who
fine, it's
rises
fine.
isn't necessarily a
It's
Skywalker.
not even.
anyway.
Oh yeah, spoilers by the way. We
she's-
should probably just
yeah,
say
yeah,
that.
there's-
Disclaimer: spoilers.
To me, that's a really bad spoiler.
Spoilers.
Yeah, if you haven't watched this film, don't watch this video. We're meant
Well,
to
unless
say
you don't
that.
care.
Unless you don't care, which I'm
yeah.
hoping people will watch because they don't care. And they just watch it for our cheerful faces.
Hey,
But yeah,
yeah. So you don't really.
we started at the end of the film.
Yeah, we
which is
started
quite
at the
funny.
end. We'll go to the end, work backwards.
Yeah.
That's
You got
not.
dug hair on
we
you, so.
just talk about whatever. Okay. Yeah. So turns out Rey isn't as gold. Rey's a Palpatine. That's a bit of a weird choice, but we'll get into that in a bit. Yeah, right at the end, she just kind of says that, like, she just kind of claims to be a Skywalker.
Yeah, she's as much a Skywalker as me and Flynn, but for whatever reason,
She's just like
whatever reason at the end of the film, because some
I'm a
ghosts come,
Skywalker.
she's a Skywalker.
Yeah.
So there we are. Anyway,
Yeah.
which we go? Which do you want to go from the beginning? Well, first of all, did you enjoy the film, Flynn?
Overall, I think it was all right. I wouldn't. It's not.
All
It's
right?
not the best film I've ever seen. It's definitely got some flaws, and like I said, we'll get into that. But it's not the worst film I've ever seen either. I'd say J.J. Abrams kind of did. He didn't do the best job. I think he could have done a bit better. But
What do you
he-
mean? He had to end 9 films. He had to end 9 films and fix the last film. I think he did all right.
I think he did all right, but he could have done
All right.
better.
He could have done
It's
better.
not, well, he couldn't. He could have like maybe not ignored the last film.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the last Jedi. You honestly, if you want to watch this trilogy and you haven't seen it yet, watch like the first one and then the last one. You don't need to watch Last Jedi. It does
Well,
nothing. Like, you don't miss out on
You
anything.
need to know what happened to Luke.
All that happens is like Luke dies and that's it.
We can write you a four lines.
Yeah, you
So
can just literally like tell you like
Last
what happened.
Jedi,
in the
nothing
last one.
happens, but a couple of people disappear,
Yeah,
and then they appear in this film. So, The Last Jedi, for all its flaws, tried to do something different. Which, because the first film of that series, those 3 films, The Force Awakens, copied Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. So they tried to do something different, and nobody liked it. So J.J. Abrams went, right, I know what people like, all these things, but let's not explain why they're there. There we go.
I think because J.J. Abrams, he clearly made the first one, what was it called? Force Awakens. He clearly made Force Awakens with intent of like, you know, he kind of saw like a vision, well, loosely. That's the problem with this trilogy. It wasn't planned. Nothing was planned. Like J.J. Abrams clearly set up some stuff, and he was gonna like progress it in these later films. But then Disney gave it to Rian Johnson, and he made The Last Jedi, and basically was just like, nah, I'm not taking in these ideas anywhere else. Because screw it. Rian Johnson wanted to do his own thing, which I can understand, but at the end of the day, ultimately kind of cost the trilogy, really. Could have been a lot better if Rian Johnson just kind of conformed, which for once is, a director doing his own thing is a bad thing for once. Yeah, so he kind of did his own thing then, and then J.J. Abrams in the last film was just like, screw it, I'm just going to make the film that I wanted to do the second time, and now I'm going to make another film as well. So it's kind of like 2 films in one. It's like he completed the trilogy in the 3rd film. He kind of did what he wanted to do and just ignored The Last Jedi. And it's like other characters. Loads of characters were there. Like, why were they there? Like, Rose, was she even in that film? Like, bloody
She wasn't in it much.
extras had more dialogue than she did.
She did. We had more dialogue than she did.
Yeah, exactly. We weren't even in the film, and we did more than she did in that film.
Yeah, they didn't like Rose, did they, in the other film?
I don't know.
And they were like, let's just let her be in it.
I don't think Rose. I don't know. I
Rose
think
wasn't the big problem of The Last Jedi.
No, she wasn't a big problem.
The film before this one.
I mean, I think she was a bit of a wasted character. I think. Well, I mean, the only reason she was there was just so they could market it in China and make a huge amount of money in the box office.
If you're going to market something in China, here's a tip: cool character who does martial arts. And I don't know if that's racist, but it isn't meant to be. Someone who does like lightsabers, or I don't know, but no. I'll come to me if you want to market it in China.
Oh yes, because you know so much about Chinese culture. Don't
I know loads about it.
Have you ever been there?
No, I wouldn't want to go there. The way they treat animals. I know loads about Chinese culture, you cheeky monkey. Anyway, if you make 3 films, if you decide you're writing one film, you go right, I'm writing one film, and then if you decide to make trilogies, like sequels after that, or one story, you go right, yeah, I'm going to write that.
Yeah.
Right. But this film, they decided we're going to make a trilogy.
They knew they were making a trilogy.
They didn't write a trilogy. They just
they wrote one film and were like, we can grow off this. J.J. Abrams, to be fair, with The Force Awakens, it set up a lot of stuff, which, to be fair, a trilogy, kind of the first film in a trilogy, it's not a bad idea to do that. Set up a lot of things so that then throughout the rest of the trilogy you can kind of explain it and flush these things out. But they didn't do any of that till the last film. And I mean, when The Force Awakens came out, there was all of these theories coming out, which I hated. Like these fan theories about who Snoke was and that Rey was a Skywalker and all that. I don't really like any of that, and I was just like, I hope they really don't do much with that. Like, why can't Snoke just be a bad guy and that's that? And then they did that in this. They explained who everyone was, so everyone got their wish in the end.
Yeah, I quite liked it that Rey came from like drunken parents and.
Yeah, I kind of preferred it.
Spoilers for the last film.
Yeah, it made her kind of an opposite to Kylo Ren in a way, because Kylo Ren, he came from quite a high praise background. His parents were heroes essentially. And he trained Force sensitive. He trained with Luke Skywalker, and he's on the dark side now. Yeah, his grandfather was the chosen one.
I said.
Yeah,
who's the chosen one now? What was the whole? The problem is as well with this film, there was a prophecy and all that in the prequels, and like it turned out that the prophecy was kind of Anakin to pass down from Anakin to Luke, but then like Luke did nothing with it, and I think the problem I had with this, with what I wish Disney hadn't done was use the original characters. They should have set these films 500 years in the future.
I agree.
And I quite like the characters in it. I like Rey, Finn, and Poe. And they even use Chewie and the droids a lot more in this film, in this latest film, Episode 9, than they did in the others. But like it's a bit too little, too late. And it was like I wanted to, they made Finn Force sensitive, and it's like. I want to know more about Finn. He's an ex-stormtrooper. There's so much good stuff that could come out of him.
He was Force sensitive, but they never mentioned that throughout the film. No. They kind of hinted towards it.
He used a lightsaber in the Force Awakens.
Doesn't mean he's Force sensitive. Anyone can use a goddamn lightsaber.
I know, yeah, I know that, but there was hints there, and
there were definitely
there was obviously an idea there that they were probably going to look. But the problem is, this Rise of Skywalker film was 2 films. And they never the crawl at the beginning with the Emperor.
The title crawl is hilarious. Like, it just starts out like you read it. It's like the dead have risen.
The dead have risen.
And it's like, I mean, I was telling you this. It's like the title crawl at the start of Star Wars is supposed to be a little bit of exposition just to catch you up, just so that you know what you need to know going into this film. I mean, it's pretty much all on camera or it's stuff that you don't really need to see. Whereas this, I mean, Palpatine come back to life. That's quite a big deal. And everyone's just kind of like already accepted that, and it's like, hold on a minute, we're just finding out about this. Like, why are you acting like it's normal when it's not?
It's crazy. It's crazy. There was problem is this film was great. There's so much potential for better. It could have been so much better. And I know it's Star Wars. I know it's not like it's meant to be fun, but you've got to have a coherent story.
Yeah, I think if they planned it out more,
set things up and then not do anything.
Yeah,
wrong.
I think if they planned it out more, and if J.J. Abrams made all 3 films, I think we get a very different trilogy. I think it would be a lot better, personally. Don't get me wrong. I think The Last Jedi was good, but I don't know. It kind of messed up the thing that J.J. Abrams was going for.
Yeah, it messed everything up.
He messed it up.
If you're spending this much money on something, plan it a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Look what Marvel's doing. I mean, you could say, like, I don't know, like some of the Marvel films are bad. You could say they're like formulaic and stuff, which to a degree, yeah, they are. Like, they're not the best things I've ever seen. They're good, a lot of the Marvel films, but they're not the best. But like at least
What
they
do you mean
plan it
they're not
out.
the best? They're brilliant.
They're good.
They're bringing Kevin Feige or Feige or whatever
Kevin
his name
Feige.
is. They're bringing him
You
into
say it like a
Star
normal
Wars.
person,
He's
mate.
going to fix Star Wars
He's
now.
gonna what do you mean? How are you gonna fix Star Wars? Look at this mess.
He's going to fix
You're
it.
not gonna be able to fix
They brought
that.
Kevin Feige in to like fix
Feige. Why don't you say it normally?
Feige.
Feige.
I can't say it.
What do you mean? You can't say Feige.
I can't say it. Feige.
What-
They brought him in to fix the Star Wars films. But like, I don't think they're necessarily. Some people like who I speak to all the time will tell me that they're broken. Nah, there's a check they can fix them.
There's something in there. There's something in
They're
there.
not broken yet. But Disney needs to be careful because the problem with Disney and Kathleen Kennedy is that they marketed these films. When they marketed these films, they tried to change the fan base completely. They were like, we don't want 40-year-old men liking this film. We're going to market it for all these other people. Screw the 40-year-old men and that who grew up on these things, or like, well, men, people in general. But there was this almost like, I think because the people who grew up on these films are probably the biggest critics, and they criticised the prequels a lot. It was almost like George Lucas whispered to him before he like sold it to the people who grew up with the original Star Wars are going to hate anything that you do. So just separate yourself from them as much as possible. Whenever they say anything negative about your film, slag them up. And that's kind of how it's felt a little bit with these films as well. If you go on the internet, if you don't go on the internet, it's fine.
I think there are some people that kind of think the originals are like way better than they actually are. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're good films. But if you actually like, if you watch the originals with the same like critical eye as you do these current films, I mean, I don't know, the originals are good. They are good films. They are really good films. I really enjoy them and they're great. But they're not like brilliant. They're not like the best things I've ever seen because there is some problems with it. There is the corny acting and there is like bloody George Lucas's constant changing of it of like who shot first, Han or Greedo. And now in the current version, Han's neck just kind of like wobbles to the side weirdly. It's like,
the thing is, with original films, there was build up to things and things were earned.
Yeah,
Like, by the end of the first film, you knew
the
Han
prequels
Luke-
were better than
you
what
knew
we've got
all the
now.
characters at the end of the first New Hope film, which was a complete fluke. That film was a fluke. You've all got to admit that it was a fluke, but it was a good fluke. Empire Strikes Back was good as well, and things started to deteriorate at Return of the Jedi level, I'd say. But I forgot the point of what I was going to say. Like, in this new film, they do exactly the same thing they did in the first New Hope film. They go onto a ship to rescue someone, and in A New Hope, there's like a 20-minute build-up to them getting to Princess Leia, who they rescue. Spoilers. But in this new film, like, there's no hiding. They just run off the ship. Bah, 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 shooting, not missing anybody. I mean, it's just... It's crackers. There's too much going on. And there's a dagger that shows them where something's buried. What?
Oh yeah, and they have like a Goonies moment, and like on that specific part of that island, like it's like you got to be at that one place. You can't do it like if you just like I don't know, like 100 meters down the coast, it might not line up. Like who knows? You got to be at that one spot with that exact dagger and line it up perfectly, just like in the Goonies, and then you'll find that thing. And what if Palpatine just decided to just like I don't know, take it out for a spin? Like I don't know. What if he just decided to pop it somewhere else for a little bit?
I mean, this was after the Death Star blew up, and it
when
was a
was that
Sith
dagger
dagger.
made?
Who made the dagger, and who decided that? Like, who stood there and thought you've got to be at this exact point to know?
Yeah.
It was
like
just...
was the craftsman on that planet like lining it up perfectly?
And like we know it's Star Wars. We know it's like it is what it is. But like what the hell? So. But
Things are
it
just
was a
quite
lot of fun.
different.
A lot of fun.
Fun.
Woo, boo, lots of shooting and all that. And the lightsaber. I like the lightsaber fights in these new films. Do you like? A lot of people slag them off.
I think they're good. I think they're probably the best they've been, really.
Yeah, they're a bit
simply
more
because-
realistic.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, in the originals, CGI was very limited back then, so it was very limited on what they could do with the Force and also how they what they could do with the choreography. I think the choreography was good. And also with Darth Vader's suit as well, they're very limited then, essentially.
Yeah,
there was not a lot they could have done. His neck couldn't spin around. When he turned his whole body.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good for fighting. And then in the prequels, there was, I don't know, just too much spinning, too much acrobatics and stuff. And like, I like the fighting.
Yeah, I like that because they were like.
It was good. To be fair,
it was
good.
They were at their peak, but I know what you
It
mean.
wasn't great, but it was good. But I prefer how it is now because
Yeah,
the lightsabers look good. But I think the choreography is really good. It's realistic to a point where, like, yeah, if two people were fighting like that, they probably would end up fighting. Would maybe look like
a bit
that.
messy.
Yeah, it would be a bit like that.
Medieval sword fighting.
Yeah, definitely.
But especially with Kylo Ren's stupid lightsaber.
Oh, that's stupid. That
it's got a cross guard that if you hit, you just break the lightsaber.
It won't work as a cross guard though. It wouldn't.
It's not.
But that's a debate that happened years ago when the Force Awakens came out. We're not going to get back into that.
It's not a cross guard.
It's not a very good cross guard at all.
And I've got one upstairs, and when you do your spinning and that, like, it cuts your wrist off.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't lost a hand. Well, it might have. He's a Skywalker.
It's not a I mean, mine's not a real one. But I could do a bit of sword fighting, and like I haven't cut my hand off. Like every time, I nearly cut. I think I couldn't use this weapon in a.
Yeah, if it was a real lightsaber, you'd have lost your hand.
I've lost my hand. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It's just quite a bad weapon, really. It's quite impractical. But yeah. Shall we talk about the Palpatine reveal?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Like Palpatine coming back and the fact that Rey is a Palpatine.
I've got no problem with him coming back, but I didn't like the way it was done. And I like where all I liked about the Palpatine coming back was where he was located. I thought that was really cool.
Well, he's on like a Sith Lord planet or something.
Yeah, but it was all a bit of a cop out. Like, you know, it was like, let's bring him back. They never really explained how he got there. They didn't, like,
I found that a bit weird.
It sounds like he was cloned several times. But it was like, is he the one that you saw with the charred fingers and that? Is he like the one who survived the...
Yeah, because otherwise why would he have charred fingers?
But then,
if he was a clone.
And what... I got this from another video. He cloned like loads of Snokes. Like, which is ridiculous. And like Kylo Ren was hearing the voices of different people. But so he was hearing like Snoke. But it was really...
It was really all Palpatine.
Palpatine. And like this Snoke, like there was another video we watched. This Snoke was there to lure Ben Skywalker to the dark side. And why would the Emperor clone something so monstrous to like lure us? You know, it was all a bit strange. I need answers, really. I don't understand. If Snoke had been, I don't know why they didn't say that. I don't know why on the planet they didn't just have another Snoke, and it's just like, I'm just a messed up clone of Palpatine, you know, and that one that you killed is one of the really close, you know, or do it like that. But that to have the actual, it was weird.
I think what they could have done with the whole Palpatine thing, I think bringing back Palpatine, I don't think it was a very good idea. I know they've done it in the expanded universe and stuff, but I think bringing back Palpatine basically makes the originals pointless, because the whole point of the originals was to, you know, defeat Palpatine. That was the ultimate goal. To defeat Palpatine and defeat Vader. That was their goal from the get-go. And then by having Palpatine come back, it's like, well, the originals are kind of pointless now then, because they didn't accomplish that. And I think bringing it back was a bad idea. But how they did it and the way they did it could have been worse, could have been better. Like you say, there was some kind of continuity errors with that sort of thing.
Why did he get red clothes when he sucked the power out?
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
He was like just this bloke in a black coat with charred fingers and that, and then he sucked the power out of him and he got his arms and legs back. But then he had like a red petticoat on underneath his cape. You said something as well about like he never quite knew what he was doing throughout the course of the film.
Yeah, like what was his plan? Because I get that like a lot of these villains, they have like complicated plans and stuff. But like the Emperor, so first, like when Kylo Ren got to him, he was just like, can you go get Rey for me? I don't know, I need her. And Kylo's like, all right. He kind of like Palpatine kind of like, I don't know if he says it, but he kind of alludes to the fact that he's going to kill Rey or something. He kind of like hints towards it. But Kylo Ren's like, okay. So he goes away. And he's not secretive as well. He's not secretive about like that. He's not gonna like, you know.
He says quite openly.
He says quite openly. And also, I thought that like, could Emperor Palpatine like access his head or something? Because he can speak to him. So
he'd already told him that he pulled all his strings.
Can he not like watch him in that?
If Kylo Ren says to Rey,
we're
going to go back and, you know,
he's like, we're going to go kill Palpatine.
You know, Palpatine's going to hear that. I thought that as well. I thought he's not exactly hiding the fact that he's going to betray him.
Yeah, but anyway, so he kind of alludes to like killing Rey maybe, but I don't know. It's not really definite. So anyway, so Rey ends up with Palpatine, and then Palpatine's like, I want you to kill me, and Rey's like, I'm good, thanks. And then Palpatine's like, okay, and then what? Then like he kind of basically makes her hate him, and then she tries to kill him anyway.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, I thought you said you weren't going to do that because that would make you a Sith or something. I don't know. So yeah, there was that, and then later on. Kylo Ren comes along, and then Palpatine's like, okay, I won't kill either of you, I'll just drain your power instead and possibly kill you. So his plan kind of changes from Rey killing Palpatine to then Palpatine killing Rey to Rey killing Palpatine, and it just kind of goes back and forth quite a bit.
But then in the second film, he lifts Rey up in the throne room and he's going to Kylo Ren kill her, and like. But that's his granddaughter. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What about the second film?
Yeah, because Snoke wouldn't want Rey dead, right? Because like Snoke is controlled by Palpatine, and Palpatine didn't want Rey dead. So why would Snoke want Rey dead?
Are we to believe that Palpatine knew that that Kylo Ren had betrayed him in the second film? Are we to think that he was pulling the strings that much that he knew that was going to happen as well?
I think the Emperor kind of screwed himself over a little bit.
There's so many holes in these films. It's just unbelievable. But you'll tell us that no, it's fine.
No, it's a good
You're overthinking things, you idiots. That's what they'll say.
I mean, yeah, maybe we are partly, but like there are some of these things where it's like surely a casual viewer would spot a couple of these, right? Like surely, I don't know, like if you just watch these films casually, like maybe we're nitpicking a little bit, but we've made quite a few points, and surely people would have picked up on one or two of them, like whilst watching them. I don't know.
Who's your favourite character in these new films, Chum?
Okay, well here's the thing, right? I have an answer to this, and it would be Finn, but they didn't really do anything with him. In the first film, it was great, like seeing like a stormtrooper, like see that he's doing the wrong, and then betray him and go to the light, essentially to the good side. I think that was a really interesting concept, and they did it well in The Force Awakens, and then they kind of left it then. In the second film, Finn's arc was like, yeah, the same again, war's bad, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, why didn't, if anything, it should have been bloody Finn teaching like Poe Dameron that war was bad or something, because Poe Dameron was the one who was acting like a reckless guy. And kind of make it like having fun, and then by the end he did learn, kind of.
He didn't really learn.
Not really. And then, in the third film, Finn's just kind of there. He doesn't really go through an arc.
He shouts Rey a lot.
He does, that's his job. And he's quite unobservant as well. But, yeah.
And like, he wants to tell us something, but he's force sensitive, and then nothing ever happens with that.
No.
He could have potentially been the most interesting character in the trilogy.
He really could have. He had a lot of potential.
And
they set him up really well, and they didn't do anything with him after the first film.
I love Kylo Ren, oblique Ben Solo. I love the character. I love Alan Driver. He's a strange looking guy, but he's a cracking actor, and he didn't overplay it in this film.
I think he did really good. I liked him and Rey's relationship. I think them kind of having like that forced pairing. I think they did that really well. I can't remember what it was called.
I was alright about that.
I think they did it really well. I kind of liked. There was that, and also I liked that little fight that they had as well, where Rey was in like Kylo Ren's like chambers or whatever, and with the berries falling on the ground. And then, like, Kylo Ren sees, like, Vader's helmet, and then, like, he kind of finds where she is with that. And, like, he kind of takes the necklace as well. So,
imagine if I just vacuumed here and you had a fight like that and not berries all over the floor.
He'd be quite annoyed.
I doubt the dog would tread him everywhere.
She'd just be looking at me like, I don't know, like, swinging a sword everywhere. She'd be like, what the hell's going on
She'd probably eat the berries, actually.
She probably would. She'd eat more off the floor.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of like Finn and potentially...
I think Finn was good. I think Finn could have been a brilliant character if he was used more and if he was kind of, written better. And I think Kylo Ren was a very good character as well on the whole. I think Kylo Ren was probably the most complete character there was. He was very good. Really liked him.
He was great. Even his turn to the light side was spoilers, but it was believable.
Yeah, we already said spoilers. It's alright.
It was believable.
When we say it once, we're on the clip.
And even the scene, we did. Sorry, even the scene with Harrison Ford was good. There was so much good stuff in this.
There was a lot of good stuff, actually.
It was really good. And anyone who goes, I can't believe I thought this film shit, we didn't. It was brilliant.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot to enjoy.
We come away grinning. We were like, wow, that was great.
Yeah,
it was like,
it's good, but it has a fair amount of letdowns. I think one of the biggest problems with this film is that it was trying to be two films in one, and if Rian Johnson didn't do the second one, and if it was just J.J. Abrams, I think the trilogy would have been completely different. I think that we've actually had a proper trilogy, and we'd have actually had it. I think the same stuff would have happened, but we would have had more time to process it. You'd have had more time to elaborate on it and like expand on it and make it more clear and flushed out. And yeah.
Do these messy Disney films make you appreciate the prequels anymore?
No. Prequels are still pretty bad. Like, the the prequels are just confusing, really.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything good about the prequels at all.
No, the third film's all right, but then actually the third film, if you watch it back, it's a bit jumbled as well, a bit like this one. That's George Lucas, and he throws things in.
Yeah, the prequels are bad. Anyone who says that the prequels are better than anyone who says the prequels are better than the new trilogy are very wrong. The prequels are terrible. They're just boring, man. Like, you watch them and you just sat there and you just like, oh.
Darth Maul, he doesn't speak one line.
Yeah, Darth Maul is the least interesting character, to be honest, in that, and he had so much potential.
It sounds to me like they just waste characters and waste opportunities.
That sounds like it sounds like that to me.
What's your favourite Disney film?
Disney film?
No,
that's quite broad.
Disney Star Wars film? No.
Disney Star Wars film.
What's your favourite Disney Star Wars film? And that's basically them 3 films, Rogue One and Solo. What's your favourite? You don't have to answer if you don't want.
I don't know. This is going to be a controversial statement, but probably The Force Awakens.
Yeah, well done, I'd agree.
Simply because it was safe. I mean, people say it's unoriginal, but it was safe. It's kind of what we needed. Because the prequels were trying to do their own thing.
I don't know if it is what we needed, but I agree.
I think it was. I think we needed to start out on something that wasn't a masterpiece and it wasn't too far out there. We need to start on something that was safe and that was like, okay, this is a decent film that people will watch and think is all right, and they didn't. Some of them. I thought it was all right, but
see, a lot of people say like Rogue One. I watched that not so long ago, and it was all right.
But like, there's no characters in that. Like, the characters are barely fleshed out, and like, there's nothing to them.
Yeah, they're really boring.
They're really boring. Yeah. And it's like it answers a question no one was asking.
Did you like Solo? We haven't done a video for ages.
Sorry, we're just going to go over a recap actually, on like some of the things here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I can wait. Remember when I come away from Solo? I went, that was one of the best Star Wars.
Yeah, you said
films
that was your favourite Star Wars film.
And then you go back and you reflect.
Like,
and you go, actually, yeah.
I think Solo was a decent film.
It was fun, but it wasn't a very good film.
Solo was decent. I think it was alright.
It showed. I think it's done. It tried to do what the Mandalorian's now doing. It's showing the sleazier side of the Star Wars universe and scaling it down a bit, which is what Solo did.
I really liked that. I really liked that with Solo. It didn't. There wasn't any real link to the other films other than the fact that like it's Han Solo, Chewie, and like what's his name, Lando.
And how Han got his gun and he's
I think that's one thing I didn't like about that film is that there was so much fan service and it was just like, oh, this is how we got the dice on the Millennium Falcon. Yeah, it's like, that scene when he said that like there's like someone like in the, I don't know, he said something about like the Millennium Falcon and I was like, I don't know, he said in the originals that like there's like it's got a mind of its own or something. And it's like, there's actually an AI in there.
3PO's like, I could understand the language of this machine or something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
And also, I hated that robot though. That robot woman that was in it.
Yeah.
I didn't like her.
No, we didn't like
that. Annoying.
We didn't like that.
And like, I don't know.
I'm sure robots do need to have rights.
I'm sure they do. But like
he's having sex with Lando or something. There was some
it's kind of alluded to that sort of thing.
That was strange. I didn't get that.
And it's like, I don't know. Like, why give these robots consciousnesses if, like, you're gonna
consciousnesses?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why give robots a consciousness? Like, if they're made to serve a purpose, why give them thoughts of their own? Like,
no, R2 and 3PO have like artificial.
Them they do. But like, okay, let's say like
doesn't mean every robot has to though.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's like, okay, let's say like that was that one episode of Rick and Morty where there was that butter robot, and then like he asked Rick, he was like, "What is my purpose?" And then he was like, "You cut butter," and he was like, "Oh my." And yeah, it's like, why give him like, why give him artificial intelligence? Why does he need to create thoughts of his own? All he does is cut butter. I mean, I get for that point it was for comedic effect, but I can imagine that sort of thing being in the Star Wars universe, and it doesn't make sense because like, if you have a robot that does a function and doesn't really need to know anything else, why not just teach it to do that function and nothing else? Why does it need to know all this other stuff?
It's interesting. You want one?
No, it's not.
You want a robot on the Millennium Falcon that just chops things? That'd be really shit. That's like real life.
Exactly, but like then make another robot.
You know what? Robots should be shit in the Star Wars shit.
Or else what will happen in Solo will happen in real life. Where
I need a robot that loads my gun.
Had a revolt.
Cheers, R2. Boo boo.
Exactly. That's the sort of shit that we'd need. Like, it is though, isn't
I don't know
it?
how we've got onto this.
I don't know how we have either.
Oh,
Anyway,
my
this
God.
film's been going on for half an hour.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly go back to Rise of Skywalker and say one more thing, and then we'll call it a day. I meant for this video to go on between 10 and 20 minutes, and now we're
It never
almost
does.
half an hour. No, it never does. But anyway, so I just wanted to say one more thing. The Knights of Ren. What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, wow.
Did you like them, or did you not like them?
No, what's the point of them? I heard, right, listen to this. Ryan Johnson was going to include them in the second film, but what he didn't want was for him to... He didn't want Kylo Ren to have to fight them if he got an emotional connection to them, because there was a hint in The Force Awakens that they were part of his group and, like, you know what I mean, they were his boys.
Right.
And like, in this film, there was no emotional connection at all in this third
They
film.
didn't care.
So they were just thugs.
Yeah.
They were absolutely You didn't see them do anything, really, except get killed.
Well, I mean, I find it interesting because I remember in The Force Awakens. I wonder if this was like J.J. Abrams' plan for the Knights of Ren at all. I don't think it was. I think there was supposed to be a bit more of an emotional connection between Kylo and the Knights of Ren. I think they should have been actual characters, somewhat like side characters, maybe that
What a
Kylo
waste
kind
of time they were.
chats to every now and then. I don't know, but I found it weird. Like, okay, so Snoke said that Kylo Ren was the best of the Knights of Ren. So what if someone else was a bit better? Like, I don't know. And does that mean that all of the other Knights of Ren, I imagine all of them are handpicked or something. Does that mean they're all on the same level as Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren just kind of outperformed them, like in terms of like when they were practicing?
I'm thinking he beat them because he had a lightsaber and they didn't.
And he was force sensitive, and they didn't appear to be.
They didn't have force sensitivity. They just had metal
Like,
weapons.
so why was Snoke
I don't know what was
putting
special
him
about them.
kind of on the same level as them, kind of saying like, oh yeah, you were on the same level as them, but now you're, slightly better. And
No,
that's
you
why
are
you're
now the
of
leader
them.
of the Rise of Red. It's just
And he's like the leader of the Knights of Ren. We've barely seen him, and then after a bit, like they don't even say anything. I don't know. And then like Kylo Ren just kills them all in this film, and they're basically just his goons.
They captured Chewie at one point, and I was expecting when they were spying on Chewie, in that ridiculous thing where you think he got blown up and didn't, even though there was only one ship there. Like, you actually see the Knights of Ren spying on Chewie, and I thought, oh, they might have a fight. I'd love to have seen Chewie backslap one of them or something.
Yeah,
but no,
I
in the
don't
next
like
scene,
to
they've just
see
been
more of them.
captured. They're just like, one minute they're spying on Chewie, the next minute Chewie's in chains like this.
I'd like to have seen them be like just kind of like small badasses, like I don't know, like
They were crap.
just like side characters, but that are really like bad. I don't know. I'd like to have seen one of them just kind of go up head to head against like Chewie or something, actually like duff up Chewie or something, just to prove how badass these Knights of Ren are.
Nobody wants to see Chewie get beaten up though, mate. But I know what you mean.
No,
So
like,
I thought
I don't know,
about
like-
that, and after I thought I don't want to see like blokes bashing Chewie on the ground and that. Too much because it's Disney, man. But I know what you mean. But like in the
Would have had an emotional impact, which
in
is
the
more than
Clone
I
Wars
can say about the
cartoon
prequels.
series, Chewie has a fight. Chewie has like some fights. Unlike the guys who, but the Bosch race, like he has a fight. He's doing like this weird dance and he fights him. It's really funny. Yeah, but
Anyway, the Knights of Ren were a disappointment. But
wasted
overall,
opportunity. There's loads in there.
out of 10, what would you give Rise of Skywalker?
I gave it 6.5 in the end. I did give it a 6 and then I put a 0.5 on. Felt bad.
I'd probably give it a 6.5 as well. 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, it doesn't deserve any more than that. It was fun. But
It was fun, but not the best thing I've ever seen. It was, it was something that if you turn your mind off for a bit and just accept things, then you'll have a great time. It's a great film, but if you overthink things like we do, then yeah.
Guess what they're making now? Guess what they've announced they're going to make?
Another trilogy.
A Knights of the Old Republic film.
Oh,
Or,
that.
You know, the things that we said ages ago that they should have perhaps thought about using? The expanded universe.
Oh yeah, the expanded universe. Something I know nothing about.
All that like information that they could have used. They're going to have a story set in the past, which is fine because it's hundreds of years in the past, so you haven't got any connection to any of the characters. You can learn about
I
new
think
characters.
they should have done that. I don't know why they kind of are focusing on, like having these old characters in these films. Like you said, if the old characters weren't in these films, I think they would be a bit better because there'd be a lot less focus on them.
And people wouldn't be pissed off. People don't want to see Luke being a chump and sulking. People don't want to see people don't want to see Leia and Han split up.
Okay,
People
in
don't want to
defence,
see that.
I think that Luke's arc was good in The Last Jedi. I think it was good. And here's why. We've seen Luke as the all-round good guy for these films, and for him to question his morals is actually quite an interesting arc. And I think that in The Last Jedi, I think it was quite good to see him do that, and then go out in one final act of heroism.
But then he says in the next film, I was wrong. I was wrong to stay on the planet. That's what he says.
Yeah.
So basically, he's like in one line after all that film with Luke going. In one and saying the Jedi, you know, the Jedi are horrendous. They've got no right having the Force, which that actually supports the prequels, because in the prequels, the Jedi aren't necessarily portrayed as being these great people. They're actually a bit horrendous at times themselves. The way they treat clones and that, and you know, they treat them like they're expendable and that. So the Jedi aren't perfect, and the way they treat Anakin at times, they're a bit shitty with him, and it matches, and Luke saying all that kind of makes sense. But then to go in the third film and say, "Oh, I was wrong to leave the planet," so I get what you're saying, but I don't know. For him to then apologise to Rey and catch a lightsaber as she's thrown in the
He wasn't
fire.
apologising for having that viewpoint on the Jedi. He was more apologising for basically just neglecting. Well, I thought of it as he was basically apologising for neglecting just like everything for ages and just doing nothing with his life. Like because he left the Force behind, and he was just kind of like, I don't care about this anymore. I'm going to leave it behind. And I thought, well, how I took it is that he was kind of apologising for abandoning everything. He was like, I shouldn't have. He was like, I made a mistake, but that doesn't mean that I should have stopped being a Force user, and I shouldn't have stopped, you know, going against the Sith. I don't think he was basically. I don't know. He may still have his beliefs about how the Jedi were kind of pricks, but like, I don't know. I think that he was just. I don't know. I think he was regretful that he wasted his life almost, like the latter part of his life. And I think him going out in one final act of heroism was a good conclusion.
But he wasn't even there, really, was he? You know.
Well, how was he going to get there in time?
I know.
He didn't have time to get there, and then he did the X-wing there because in The Last Jedi, because she was going to use it in that.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I watched The Last Jedi recently again, and I enjoyed it. So, like, but this new film that we've been talking about, I don't know.
No film we've been talking about. It's all right. It's decent. It's all right. Yeah. 6.5 out of 10.
6.5 for you, and 6 for you, and 6.5 for me. So
No, I said 6.5.
You said 6.5 as well.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Were you not paying attention?
Yeah. I thought you said 6. You said 6 the other day.
Yeah, that's the other day, not now.
Oh God, you're a turncoat. I said 6, and then I went up to 6.5.
Yeah, I think it was 6.5 as well.
Chatted to someone online, and I felt guilty. It's like, oh yeah, you know, yeah. Anyway, I'm done. Have you got anything else to add?
No, I'm done as well. I think this is going on long enough.
It's been on long enough. No one's going to want to watch it any longer. This. Happy New Year, everybody.
If you still made it, thanks for watching.
No idea if we're going to ever make any more of these.
We might.
But
keep an eye open.
They'll continue to make Star Wars films. We're going to do some Marvel ones, but who knows? I don't know.
We'll see.
Our two fans might want to watch it. Who knows? But anyway, do you want to finish? Do you want to say ta-ra?
Bye. All right.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.